Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review for episode 1 of the Beastars anime. I'm so excited to finally be talking about this. So welcome for those of you new with the channel, since this is sort of a new series we're starting up and everything. I actually think I'm going to make a general video too, maybe sometime in a few days, where I just talk about Beastars as a whole and why people should watch it. Hopefully get more people interested into the series, because I've been preaching it as my favorite manga for a while now. I love this story so much, and I kind of just want to do a spoiler-free discussion of sort of the vibes it gives and some of the stuff you can expect from the storytelling and everything, to hopefully draw some more people in. But either way, let's talk about this first episode. I thought it was great. I thought it was so good. And I will actually start off this video with my one and only criticism that's not even really a criticism, and that one and only criticism is that Chapter 1 of the manga is an absolute masterpiece. So yeah, it's not even really criticizing this episode. This episode was still great. It's just that, I don't know, it's hard to capture just how beautiful and well written that first chapter is. And they kind of abridged things a little bit, which makes sense because they're going to need to pace things a bit up to sort of end the season at a kind of decent point. I hope they don't skip too much. They really didn't, to tell the truth, and they really made minimal changes in hindsight, because I went back and reread some of the chapters to... I'm not going to be one of those guys who's like, oh, well, this has changed and this is different every single time, because I feel like that would annoy people that are here just to talk about the anime. They're anime-only watchers. But at the same time, I feel like there are some things that are sort of relevant, and some things that were left out I'm not going to talk about at all, because like I said, there wasn't much, but a few of the things that were left out I think might just be restructured. We might probably see them in episode 2, maybe episode 3. So I'm not going to mention them here, because I wouldn't want to spoil anything for anybody experiencing this for the first time. So yeah, the big thing that I first start off noticing that I like about this is the style and I guess the vibes they're able to put off, but just the general style that they achieved through their animation and the art style that they chose to go along with the animation, the OST and music choices they made. It really feels both stylistically unique and very stylistically cohesive in itself. And I really like that. Now, the audio recording style for this, I'll talk about for a little bit, it worked out amazingly. So what they did for recording the audio for this is they had the voice actors record their audio, how do I describe this? Where a lot of the time for anime, the mouths will be animated moving. They know the lines they're supposed to say, and they match up the lines to the mouths moving. Or if it's like a highly detailed scene, sometimes they might get the animation and get the recording and then sort of match the two of them up as best they can. But usually it's like they match their mouths to the recording to the to the animation. But with this, what they did, and it works really well since they're using 3D animation, is they had the voice actors act out their lines as if they were doing a stage play, which makes it feel so unique and so special. It works out really well. And what they did is they used the sort of gestures and sort of facial expressions and small details that you get when recording like that, of the voice actors sort of acting it out like a stage play. And I first noticed it when we had those herbivore students that were talking about what had happened to Tem the night before. You could tell with their body language that things just felt a bit more, even though this is a series about anthropomorphic animal characters, real. It felt more raw, felt more real and engaging. Just their body language felt really good. And it was really cool the way they were able to do that. It was a little bit of a gamble, I think, artistically, but it totally pays off. It's really cool and unique. Now, also, we've barely seen much of the world yet, but already, just from this introduction and some of the panning shots of the school and stuff, the world feels very new. It feels very unique and very different. And it's really cool, because this is the first time I know of that an anime is really doing a story like this with anthropomorphic animal characters which I love. It's one of the things that drew me into watching the series to begin with, that and hearing how good it was that it won so many awards for the manga. And yeah, I love how good the world looks and feels already, how creative and different everything feels. So a definite highlight for me is the voice acting. I already said the voice acting, the way it was recorded was very good, but the quality of the voice acting itself, I found myself with a lot of the characters being like, oh, I recognize this voice. Oh, I recognize this voice. It was a definite high point. It was really, really good, the emotion they were able to show, and it paired well with how raw and real the style of recording makes it feel. There were a few shots here and there that I think looked kind of weird to me, but the sort of novelty and the style makes up for that, because even when the shots seem a little bit weird and a little bit wonky looking, they fit into this quirky, different, new style. It just feels so different that when things seem like maybe they're a little out of pocket, it still works because they're taking so many artistic chances, and it's really, really, really nice. I will say they made a few changes to Haru's story here, but it was very, very minimal in hindsight. Like, at first I was like, I don't remember things quite going this way. But then going back and rereading the manga for this part here at the beginning and stuff, they were actually pretty dang accurate. Some of the changes, though, I will say were a little bit odd. Not bad, but odd. Like having them throw her mattress out the window at her and stuff just seems like very over the top, a little bit less realistic. Definitely not bad, because it kind of adds a different dimension to things with them being in her room and those two possibly being roommates of hers, which would be weird because I thought one of them was a cat, but I digress. So yeah, I think that there were some changes made that were a little bit odd, but definitely not bad, because though they are not as good in some aspects, they open up new aspects. So now getting into my second set of notes that I took while actually watching the episode for the second time over. One of the early things I noticed, well, one of the things I noticed later on in the first time watching it, was that the smoke effects during the fountain scene were like really, really good. Just the mist in the air between them was like really good looking before any of the scent stuff comes in. But then it also made me think a similar thing, seeing the beginning of the episode over again. The effects of the moon, where it seemed like the moon was like growing and fluctuating, were like really, really good in particular. In Tem's death, not only is it story-wise really pretty impactful and sad, because he had this love he was never able to confess to. His life was just cut short, an herbivore by a carnivore. But it was also animated really well. The way they used this black and blue lighting, and then the projector was turned on, casting light on him. It was all really, really good looking. They did their best to try to make the silhouette look mysterious of the killer of Tem. And also, one thing I noticed my second time watching that I didn't notice my first time, there's this one POV shot from Tem where he's like putting his hand up to try to block the light coming from the projector, and the animation from his hand was like, or the animation of his hand was like really, really good, like weirdly really good, on some like Horikoshi hand fetish level good. But then we have the scene with Lugosi and Els. Now this scene was, again, I'm going to try to very few times compare the anime to the manga, but this scene was incredible in the manga, and I think that the manga, or the anime version, felt very, very abridged, very, very short. It left out a lot of context and detail, and a lot of things that really built the tension and kind of made you second guess yourself. Well, is Lugosi bad? Is he good? Kind of put you more in Elle's point of view and hear more of her internal monologue. So it felt very, very abridged, but I think the scene with them on the benches afterward was done very, very, very well. I really liked the way that that scene was done. It was really good. I will say that The OST for it was great. The audio recording style, this is when I first started noticing why I liked it so much and why I thought it worked so much, is when it was just Lugosi and Els talking. That's when you could tell their body language, the way their sort of intonation is going. It really feels like they're talking to each other. It feels very raw, and that was very good. But one thing I will say I'm disappointed they left out is, again, from the manga's first chapter, there's this one page that's always, to me, so very iconic, and I kind of judge the whole series and Lugosi's whole character by the one image on the one page as he's walking away from Els, and in her internal monologue, which we don't get in the anime, she's saying, all I saw was he's this big tough wolf, but all I saw is someone who's sad, mourning for a friend. But we have this moment where Lugosi's walking away from her, and there's a flower in the path in front of him, so as he's walking, he stops for a moment, and then takes a step around the flower. And it was great visual storytelling to show the kind of person Lugosi is, where without having to say anything, we just get a bit of who his character is by just seeing that he stopped because he was about to step on a flower in his path and then walked around. And that's such an iconic thing for me from the first chapter. That is one thing I'm disappointed. This episode was amazing, but that is one thing that I'm disappointed was left out, because to me it is such an iconic thing for the series. From there we get the memorial scene with Lewis and Lugosi, which was nice. I liked that a lot, sort of introducing Lewis for the first time. And I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be pronounced Louis, but I am in such a habit this entire year or so that I've been reading the manga. I've called him Lewis for so long that I'm probably not going to be able to break that habit. So forgive me if I end up calling him Lewis a lot. But I feel like the way that this episode set things up, their relationship is really interesting already. I like it a lot. The Haru stuff, like I said, with her bullying and stuff and them throwing the mattress out the window, it was a bit less realistic, but I like a few of the changed details, like with Sally sitting in the room saying, look, I'm not getting involved with any of that or whatever, just doing the thing with her crossword puzzle book and everything. So yeah, I like some of the changed details, or the fact that they were potentially roommates of Haru's, they were in her room and everything. I do like those changed details. Now, going back and rewatching the second time is when I noticed something. My watchful eye rewatching this anime. The animation looked great overall. So just because I notice one little mistake does not mean anything negative, or that I think anything negative about the series. But I noticed it on my second time watching through, when we see the cat and I guess they're a chipmunk maybe, up on the balcony talking shit and all that. The cat's chin kind of clips through the railing a little bit at one point. So again, that's something incredibly, incredibly small. And I'm not saying it as a negative thing on the animation at all. It's just something that I noticed my second time watching, where I was like, hang on a second. So another thing that I feel is a little bit different, a little bit cool in the anime here, or I don't know. I feel like this is something that we're just going to see develop more throughout the series. To me, in the anime, with just episode 1, Haru seemed a little bit more black and white and a little less shades of gray. She seemed more oppressed, more bullied, whereas she totally was in the manga and everything. But Haru is kind of a very shades of gray character, where when we see the girl comes up to her and she's like, you kissed my boyfriend, you ruined our relationship and everything. Haru's just like, maybe you should get a better boyfriend or something, or maybe you should patch things up with your boyfriend. And she just smug and talks back to her, and it's great. And those are some of the best things about Haru, but that's the thing. Some of Haru's best qualities are also her most harmful qualities. She gets bullied because of the way she jumps around from guy to guy, and because of the way she kind of is smug and shit talks people. But at this, almost to the point where it seems like she has a death wish at times. But at the same time, those are the things that make her strong and give her freedom. And in a world where, like she was talking to herself in the mirror, in a world where all these guys and anybody really are so much larger than her that they can literally look down on her in a relationship sort of setting or in a sexual sort of setting. It's a place where she gets equality, where she has a bit of power. So it's one of those things where the things harming her the most in life are the things helping her the most in life. The things that are causing all this bullying and pain are also the things that give her a bit of freedom and sort of power and equality. So it's this really cool shades of gray storytelling where either way, she definitely doesn't deserve to be bullied in the way that people treat her. But it's interesting to note that she's a character that there's a lot. That's the thing with the series. I always say that Beastars is like a psychology or sociology textbook shown to us through the eyes of furries occasionally pulling guns on one another. But the thing with a lot of these characters, their psychology is really complex and different, and it develops a lot over the course of the series. But Haru is a character that I think is one of the most well-written because of sort of a lot of the dichotomy, especially in the early Haru stuff, with how the things that are good for her and how she develops positively are also kind of the same things that are bringing the harm on her. So I really, really like the depth in Haru's character. It's so good. But I like that her smugness is fully kept when she talks back to the Harlequin Rabbit girl. I think her name's Mizuki. They didn't say it in the anime, but I think her name was Mizuki. But yeah, I like it. Like, she's a little bit of an asshole, but that's like one of her redeeming qualities. And either way, she doesn't deserve to be bullied, of course. Then we have the Kai and Lugosi and Lewis scene, which was quite good. Now, Kai's voice actor, I like that he didn't sound very Bakugo-like, because of course he's the same guy that does Bakugo and Accelerator, a bunch of other popular characters. He was kind of his own unique voice, and like I really liked that. Kai felt like Kai. I didn't really have a reason to compare him to any of those characters, but then when he opens the door and yells, he went full Bakugo with that yell. Yeah, then we go on from that and we just get Lugosi standing watch while Lewis sneaks in to practice with Zoe? Yeah, Zoe, the one who is now playing Odie after Tem's death. So I love little hints already at this little bug showing up beside Lugosi and him being like, "Oh, hi, how are you, little bug?" I love just his like sort of attachment to bugs and his like love for these tiny animals or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much where we end. We just get the scent vault, him sniffing and activating his sort of instincts, being like, oh crap, we're about to get caught. Oh crap, there's an herbivore here who might catch us, and just goes full instinct mode and grabs her, and then we get cliffhung. And then we get the episode title, and let me tell you, this episode title made me so happy. It made me happier than almost anything else, because another common thing that's one of my favorite things in Beastars is, again, for the manga, every chapter title is like kind of weird and poetic. They just had these really creative and artsy and poetic titles for each chapter. So I loved that this episode title was just so artsy and poetic and creative. I saw that and I was like, yes, give us the weird titles. So I loved it. I really liked this. It's a good anime from a good studio. I really like Studio Orange, and they're taking so many cool new artistic choices, and I love when studios do that. And they're just not afraid to think outside of the box, which is really cool and really different, especially for a series that Beastars is already an out-of-the-box kind of series. You can't really compare it to crime drama or to school stuff or to romance stuff. It feels like it has all that stuff, but it also or like the mystery of Tem's death and everything. It feels like it has stuff from all these different genres, but it doesn't really fit into any of those genres. Like again, I joked about earlier, it's like a psychology and sociology textbook. It's so good. It's so good and it's so different. And it's like they're taking this series that's already really different and saying, hey, it's already really different. We can go crazy with this. We can test some stuff out. And I like it a lot. So yeah, good anime from a good studio, and it's for my favorite manga. So I'm so hyped to see what the opening looks like. I know it just came out earlier today before recording this. I'm going to do a video on it individually. I'm going to do a reaction to it and then a full video on it, and I'll probably do the same with the ending as well, but we'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, I loved it. I loved the episode. It was a great start for the series, and I think it's only looking up from here. Like I said, I'll do a video on Beastars in general in the future where I can talk about it more there. But at least for right now, I would give it a score of, oh gosh, what did I even write down here? Nine furry romance drama murder mysteries out of 10. 9 out of 10. I thought it was great. I love the series. I love it so much. So yeah, I hope you hang around and stick with this anime and stick with my reviews of it as well. Thank you for watching because it is so special to me. But I guess if you did like the video, and comment down there to tell me what you thought of this episode. I'm really excited to hear a lot of your opinions and stuff, whether you're anime only, whether you're manga viewer or manga readers. If you are a manga reader, be careful not to spoil other people in my comments. I'll be pretty strict with a no spoiler in the comments kind of policy. But yeah, just don't spoil people. Just be cool. But yeah, I'm excited to hear hear other people talk about the series and to get to talk with them about the series more. Hopefully the anime, it looks like it is bringing a lot more eyes in, which I am so excited for. Because I love it so much. Subscribe for more so you can see whenever a new video is coming out on the channel. I'm covering much more than Beastars, but also Beastars. Follow on Twitter if you want, and I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel or talk to you there. And if you would like a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us on Discord, it's free and open for anyone. We talk a bit there. There's a section there for Beastars, both the manga and the anime, so we can keep them kind of separate so nobody spoils anybody. So yeah, I suppose that's it. If you would like to help me keep making videos, help the channel keep going by supporting on Patreon, it is patreon.com/HakuOfTheTubes, or a link will be in the description. If I do reactions to the series, the edited reactions will be up for free here whenever they're done on YouTube. But even though they'll be up for free here just whenever they're done, they'll be up pretty much as soon as I record them. I'll throw them the full recording so you can just click and watch along on Patreon at probably the $10 tier. But again, that's going to be one of those things. If I do that, that's how I'll do it. But I'm not 100% sure on how or if I'll do that yet. If I'll do reactions in addition to these reviews. Not 100% sure. But yeah, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.